Welcome back to our second part of the interview on Ahmad Fardid, his ideology based on philosophy of Martin Heidegger. You stressed the point that Mr. Fardid introduced the term of West-Toxification or gharbzadegi in Iran in an atmosphere which was already prepared to understand that by Russian influence and by Shia Muslim protagonists who had an interest in these terms and this philosophy of Fardid. Now, let us look into the possible errors you might find in this philosophy of Martin Heidegger, which is being transferred by Fardid into an ideology based on things he might have seen in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
What are the errors in his thoughts, and do you see anything at all in his critique which is helpful to understand in which situation we are?
Yes, thank you very much for giving me a chance once again to continue this very important discussion. As you correctly stated, Mr. Fardid coined the term of West-Toxification means in Persian gharbzadegi for confronting with modernity and modernism in Iran. He has obtained these points, the elements of this term from Mr. Heidegger, as you described. Just I have to point out that Mr. Fardid was also an etymologist, and he tried also always to explain his philosophy based of the roots of the words. And I think that from this point of view, we can understand how and why he used or he intervented this strange but very effective term. Actually, this term in his philosophy or in his teachings contains some elements that for us is values, considered as values, but for him and for in his teachers are the negative points, like individualism, like materialism, like rationalism, like liberalism, and like, for example, relativity. All of them is against the dogmatism, dogmatism of the scholarship of the Shia scholars, and actually he advocated for a return to an Islamic worldview, seeing it as a solution to the problems of the world, and especially standing against the Western modernity. As I explained, I am repeating once again that this point in Iran was not strange, and actually the field was prepared before, because after Iran's defeating in war with Russia and losing about 40% of territory, there was always a struggle for among the Iranians to achieve the modernity and to be equal with the other nations in free world. That was Iran was one of the first nations in Asia to make a constitution revolution. After the constitution revolution, Iran tried to modernity, but from other side, the Russia, fearing of reclaiming Iran over the lost territories, tried to prevent always Iran to prevent tried to prevent Iran to achieve the modernity, and also this efforts was supported by the Shia scholars, as Shia scholars were an ally of the Qajar dynasty, and Qajar dynasty was legally supported by the Russian government as an legal point, legal article in ceasefire agreements was made 100 years before that between Iran and Russia. That's why we see an unity in the strategy of Russia and the method of the Shia scholars to fight against modernity in Iran. Exactly what now we can see in the words of Alexander Dugin and also in the words of the Mr. Fardid, that they consider the West as an evil, and they say that we have to fight with the evil, and they describe the values of the West such as democracy, human rights, and individualism as an tools, as an influence tools of the Western civilization. And as I explained, Mr. Fardid took this element from the Mr. Heidegger's teachers, and one of them that in West was not so noted, but in Iran was very welcomed, was alienating. The difference is that in West, that, for example, in Germany by itself, the technology was local and was localized. The technology was evaluated and completed during the time and by the German by itself. It was not an imported concept. It was not an imported or a strange product. But in Iran, there were no technology. Iranians should import technology from Russia or from, for example, Germany or from United States or from Europe or from the West. That was always, the technology was not local and should be localized. And one of the sequences of the localizing was alienating, according to Mr. Fardid. Make an interruption with in connection with the past, with the culture, with the roots of our culture. And as I explained in previous session, one of the concepts described by the Mr. Heidegger was the necessity of resistance for the nations outside of Europe against the European. I explained that the Mr. Heidegger described the existence as an essence, as an undividable identity. But when the existence has a manifestation, this manifestation is unhuman. So I mean that the manifesting of the existence is human. And when is so, and he named it as an Dasein, and Dasein means over, to be there, and it means that each human from the viewpoint of existence are the same, but from the viewpoint of the manifestation, they have own characteristics that differs from the others. That was they have to show resistance against the impose and against the pressure of the West parts of the West powers in out of the Europe. We can translate this to Mr. Fardid's works in Iran. We can consider that Mr. Fardid was a student of Mr. Heidegger, and he tried to translate, to transform these teachers and to localize the teachers of the Mr. Heidegger according to the circumstance and situation of Iran. That's why he said that we have very rich and old history, and this history is sufficient to us, and we have to be cautioned about the influence of the Western influence of the Western society and Western civilization. Just to clarification, to clarify, I have to explain that then was a big change in Turkey, in Turkey, a neighbor of Iran, in neighborhood of Iran, and changing of the writings. So the language was Turkish, but they changed the alphabet from the old Arabic signs to the Latin, to the European alphabet, and this changing caused a big interruption between the new Turk generation and their old culture, because they couldn't read anymore the old books which was written in the other at the other alphabet. But in Iran, some people also suggested that we can also change our alphabet, and they make some resistance in the part of literature and history. And Mr. Fardid misuses these concerns to coin his own idea about alienating and about interruption. And it seems that his ideas was convincible. He convinced the other is not just the religious scholars, but also the academician, because he could receive a job in university as professor without having any diploma. I had said that he has no graduated. He was not graduated in Germany, and he came back to Iran maybe because of the war situation. It's possible. I cannot judge now. But anyhow, he has no diploma in university. He has no diploma in philosophy, but he was a teacher. He turned a professor in philosophy in Tehran University, which was one of the most credible universities in Iran.
Yes, yes. Mr. Sajedi, I think for the second part, we have focused a good part on the errors of his thoughts and on the circumstances of the situation, why his thoughts fell on a ground that could work with his thoughts.
Yes.
In our third part, let's focus in our third part on the actual situation right now in Iran and the effects of his thoughts on the current situation, and of course, what might be interesting for Western think tanks, thinkers, politicians, journalists. What is the danger for the West from these thoughts?
Yes, of course. Thank you.